Hi friends, welcome to MS Technologies. We are going to start new online batch for Django framework and Django REST framework. The batch will start from 16th November at 6 p.m. IST. Here I am going to discuss Django framework completely and Django REST framework also. Batch duration is 2 months. Coming to myself Raju. I have around 10 years of experience in IT industry. Currently, I'm working in one of the MNC company as a project lead. Here, I'm going to write each and every line in front of you guys only. I will explain everything in real time. In real time, how to write the code, what things we are using in real time. Everything I'm going to explain in this batch. At the same time, in the middle, we will do some mini projects kind of things also. Coming to course content, first I'm going to talk about Django framework. What are the prerequisites to attend for this batch? You guys should have basic knowledge on Python and object oriented programming, as well as you guys should have the knowledge on some front end technologies like how to use the HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, JavaScript. This kind of basic knowledge on front end also is required. So then you guys can able to attend for this batch. Here, first I'm going to talk about Django framework. So here this is the content. First, I will start with the introduction to web development. Here, I'm going to explain what is web application, how to develop web application. To develop a web application, what are the main components are required? To develop those components, what technologies are required? All those things I'm going to discuss in first topic. Second topic, introduction about Django. Right. So here I'm going to discuss about what are the different types of Python related frameworks that we have. Among all those frameworks, why Django became this much popular? What are the advantages are there with this Django framework? All those things I'm going to discuss at introduction about Django. So next I'll come to this installation of IDEs. If you go for Python, to develop Python applications, we no need to install these IDEs, PyCharm, Atom, like this. We can develop Python applications in normal Notepad, Notepad++, or Edit Plus. Those things are enough. We can run our Python application, those things, by using those Notepad, Notepad++, and Edit Plus, all those things. But coming to web application development, compulsory, we require some IDEs, integration development environments, like PyCharm, Atom, Visual Studio. Here I'm going to show how to install PyCharm and how to work with PyCharm, and how to install this Atom IDE, how to work with Atom IDE. All these things I'm going to discuss at here. So next, development of first web application. Here I will show in small hello world web application. So to give the basic knowledge on web application development. Next I'll go for this MVT architecture. That if you guys observe Java people follows MVC architecture. Even .NET people also follows MVC architecture. MVC in the sense model view controller. But coming to our Django people follows this MVT architecture. MVT stands for model view template. Here I am going to explain what is this MVT architecture, how the flow will go in this MVT architecture, and what is the differences between MVC architecture and MVT architecture. Next, coming to this Django views. Right, views are very important files. That if you observe Django project structure, so there you can able to see views.py file. So inside that views.py file, what logic we have to write, how to implement that views.py file, how many ways we can write the logic inside this views.py file. Everything I'm going to discuss it here. So next important thing is Django templates. Templates are nothing but inside this templates we are going to take HTML files. For developing front end things, compulsory HTML is required. Without having HTMLs, we can't able to develop a front end. That HTML only will provide main skeleton for our front end part. So now inside this templates, we are going to take all required HTML files. Next, coming to this static files. In our project, if you want to add any images or CSS files, all those things we have to take inside this static section. So now here I am going to explain how to take this, how to create the static folder. Inside that, how to take the images. Inside that, how to take the CSS and all those things I am going to cover it here. Next, Django forms. Here what we are discussing. Here what we are going to discuss in Django forms. Suppose if you want to grab user provided information, for that forms must be required. Suppose if you go for a Gmail, first what we will do in Gmail, we need to fill the details. First, whenever you click on that sign up button, there we need to fill the details. What that the sign up form is doing, that sign up form is collecting user provided information. To grab that user provided information, we require some forms. So here I am going to use Django forms and Django model forms. By using these two forms, what we are doing, we are collecting the user provided information. Next, I'll come to template inheritance. Already you guys know inheritance concept. In Python we have seen inheritance concept. Same kind of thing we have at templates level also. Template is nothing but what? HTMLs. Right, at HTML levels also we have some inheritance. Right, whatever the commonly required things are there in each and every page. In each and every page, suppose if you go for any one HTML, in that one page I want if you open any website kind of thing, there you guys can able to find one nav bar kind of thing. Inside that nav bar, we are what we have home, and we have about us, we have services, like that several things are available inside that nav bar. That navbar part I required in each and every page of my project. In each and every page of my project, I require that navbar section. For that, instead of writing that navbar code in each and every HTML file, I will create one base HTML file. Inside that, I will take that navbar coding, navbar related logic. I will take inside that base HTML. The remaining HTMLs, whatever we have, those HTMLs will derived from that base.html file. Now that navbar code will be available in each and every HTML. Inheritance we are doing whatever the parent HTML have, right? All those things by default will come to child HTMLs also through this template inheritance concept. Next topic I'm going to talk about filters. Here what we are discussing. I have some data. I want to represent that data in multiple forms. I have some data. I want to represent that data in multiple forms. How you can do that? By using this template filters, we can do that. So next thing is session management with cookies. Right here, how client and server both are communicating each other. How server and client both are communicating each other by using HTTP protocol. But that HTTP protocol is what? Stateless protocol. Stateless protocol means there is no any storage kind of thing at server side. So server can't able to remember the previous request information. Server will treat every request as a fresh request. But in our web application development, server should remember previous request informations also. Otherwise, it can't able to process. But here, because of this HTTP protocol, server can't able to remember previous request information. Then how you can able to solve this problem? by using this session management with the cookies and the session management with the Django session API, right? We can overcome that problem at here. So next, I'll come to this user authentication and authorization. Right here, we are going to develop one login page. So inside that, I'm going to authenticate username and password as well as authorization. Authentication means what? User validity. Authorization means what? Permissions. Right here we are going to discuss all those things. And internally what it will happen, whenever you give any password, internally the password will be encrypted. The password should be encrypted. For that internally it is using some algorithms. What algorithms it is following for encrypting the password? Even super user also can't able to see that password. So in that way password was encrypted. How the password is encrypted? For encrypting, which algorithm it is following? Although all those algorithms I am going to discuss it here. So next thing, class based views. We can develop views in two ways, either by using class based or by using functional based. Here I'm in real time, mostly we will use 99% we will use this class based views only. If there is any more customization is there, suppose if you have more customization in your logic, then only we'll go for functional based views. Otherwise we will use this class based views only. Right now here I'm going to discuss what is class based views, right? So what is the difference between functional based and class based views? I'm going to explain it here. So next here, CRUD operations. How to create the data inside the database, how to retrieve the data from the database, how to update the data, how to delete the data. Right here, I'm going to do some small mini projects also. Mini projects also I'm going to develop it here by using this CRUD based CRUD operations. Right, I will do CRUD operations by using functional based reviews as well as class based reviews also. Both the things I'm going to explain it here. How to perform the CRUD operations by using functional based reviews, how to perform the CRUD operations by using class based reviews. For both the things, we are going to do small mini projects kind of things. After completing these things, next I'll go for this ORM, very important topic, Django ORM. Django ORM. After completing this Django ORM, we'll go for this model inheritance. How we have template inheritance, same way we have model inheritance also. Before going to this model inheritance, we should know what is a model. Right, so how we have views.py file in our project structure, same way we have models.py file also. Inside that models.py file, what we are writing? Inside that models.py file, what we are writing? So inside that models.py file, we are writing the model classes. It will talk about a database. Inside the database, what table you need to create, what columns you need to take, all those things we are representing by using this model classes. Right, so now we can inherit those model classes also. Here I am going to take parent model class and a child model classes. Inside that parent model class, whatever the things are there, all those things I'm going to get inside child model classes also. That is model inheritance. How to do all those things I'm going to discuss it here. Next, middleware concept. Before request processing and after request processing, if you want to do any activity, we can do by using this middleware concept. Before processing the request and after processing the request, if you want to do any activity by using this middleware, we can do that. Right? How to work with this middleware? It's very important. This middleware also. How to work with this middleware and all those things I'm discussing it here. Right, each and everything I'm going to discuss in applications, in coding style only. I'm going to discuss everything at here, and practically I'm going to show each and everything at here. Here 21 concepts, minimum 21 concepts are there. Right, if there is anything if there is anything miss, I will add those concepts also at here. And everything I'm going to show in practical way only. Daily we are going to do the coding hands-on, and hands-on coding we are going to do it here. After completing this Django framework, I'll move for this Django REST framework. Here what I am going to discuss. First, I am going to discuss about what is distributed application. How one application can communicate with another application. I'm going to discuss about distributed application. Next, I'm going to talk about what is REST services. What is a REST API? Next, what is API? Next, I'm going to talk about what is the differences between SOAP and REST. Here we have two types of web services. One is SOAP-based services and another one is RESTful services. Nowadays, industry is most of the people are using this RESTful services only. Here I'm going to talk what is the differences between these two. Next, I'm going to talk about mixins. Where we have this mixins, suppose if you go for Java, there is no mixins concept. So why? Wherever we have multiple inheritance support, wherever we have multiple inheritance support, there only this mixins concept is there. And there only mixins concept is there. Suppose if you go for Java, in Java there is no multiple inheritance support. Because of that reason we don't have mixins concept there. But in Python from day one onwards multiple inheritance support is there. Because of that reason we have mixins concept also at here. I'm going to discuss what is this mixin, how to use this mixin, everything in practical way. Next, serialization. What is serialization? I'm going to share with programmatically. Exception handling in API. You guys know in Python what is exception handling, what is try block, what is except block, what is finally block, all those things. Right. In API development, how to handle the exceptions. If there is any error, how to handle that error in API also, API side also, I'm going to discuss it here. What is JSON? Right, suppose if one application wants to communicate with another application, my Python application wants to communicate with the Java application. Now we need to send the data in the form of, right, both application, the data whatever we are sending, that data should be understandable by both the applications. For that, we are going to use one common format and one common message format, which is nothing but JSON format. If you send the data in the form of JSON, any application can able to understand. Any application can able to understand. And if you send Java object, my Python application cannot able to understand Java. If you send Python object, my Java application cannot able to understand Python. But if you send a JSON format, any application can able to understand. Any application, whether it is Python application, Java application, .NET application, any application can able to understand this JSON format. So that is the reason every time we need to send the data in the form of JSON only. Right, at the time of fetching the data also we'll get in the form of JSON only from other application. Now here we are going to discuss what is this JSON, how to convert Python object into JSON, how to convert other type of object into JSON. We are going to discuss it here. Next, disabling the CSRF verification. At the time of practicing, at the time of testing, our API is working properly or not. At the time of testing, our API is working properly or not. Generally, where we will add this CSRF token in the form set. In the HTML files, we are going to add this CSRF token set. But coming to API development, we don't have any front-end kind of thing at here. We don't have any front-end kind of thing. But how you can able to add this CSRF token? If we have HTML page front end, there we can able to add the CSRF token. But here we don't have CSRF, here we don't have front end, right? Then where you will add this? But if you want to test your API is working properly or not, at the back end, Django will verify this one. CSRF token, are you providing CSRF token or not? Django will verify that. But in our case, we don't have that front end. Then how we can able to add? Because of that reason, I am going to disable this CSRF at the API development side. I am going to disable this CSRF at API development side. How you can able to disable the CSRF? Right? We are going to discuss it here. Three styles are there. Three ways are there to disable the CSRF. All those things I am going to discuss it here. Right, next HTTP status codes and success code, failure code, right, problem at client side, problem at server side, multiple codes are there. And if the problem at server side, it will return one type of code. If the problem at client side, it will return one type of code. Right, like that we have different type of HTTP status codes are there. All those codes we are going to discuss it here. After completing that, I am going for this HTTP method set. Get method, post method. Suppose if you want to fetch the data, right, we need to go for this get operation, get method. If you want to insert the data, then we need to go for post. If you want to update the data, then we need to go for this put. If you want to delete the data, then we need to go for this delete. So what is this HTTP methods, and how to use all these HTTP methods in our programming, I'm going to discuss it here. Next, here, how to test API. How to test API. To test API, we have several ways are there. And by using one partner application, we can test our API. By using browsable API, we can test our API. By using Postman, see here I'm going to use Postman. Postman also third-party provided Postman also we can test our API is working properly or not. And several ways are there. And to test our API is working properly or not, right? To test our API, we have several options are there. One is partner application, another one is browsable API, third one is Postman, etc. Right? So here I'm going to show all those things and how to work with Postman, how to test by using partner application, how to test by using browsable API, everything I'm going to discuss at here. Next, authentication and authorization. Right here, for authentication purpose, we have some predefined classes like basic authentications, session authentication, token authentication, JWT authentication, several things are there. And right here, Django REST framework providing several inbuilt authentication mechanisms. Django REST framework is providing several inbuilt authentication mechanisms, which is basic authentication, session authentication, token authentication, JWT authentication. We are going to discuss those things at here. Right. So next, coming to authorization. Here, what is authorization? Authorization means what we are doing? Access permissions of user end. Validating access permissions of user end is called as what? Authorization. And here, DRF providing several permission classes for authorization. DRF is providing several permission classes for authorization like allow any, is authenticated, is admin user, is authenticated or read only, Django model permissions. Django model permissions are anon read only, like this. DRF is providing several permission classes. Right? We are going to discuss all those things practically at here. Practically, I am going to show all these things. And here, DRF is providing several authentication mechanisms, which are basic authentication, session authentication, token authentication, JWT authentication, etc. Same way, DRF is providing several predefined authorization permission classes for authorization. What permission classes? Allow any, is authenticated, is admin user, is authenticated or read only, Django model permissions. Django model permissions are anon read only, etc. All those things I am going to discuss it here. All those things I am going to discuss it here. Right? So next one, just I explained it. Just now explained. Right? I want to test my API is working properly or not. I want to test my API is working properly or not. For that, I am going to use this Postman. Very, very important. In real time, if you go for Java side or any technology side, Postman is the very common thing to test APIs. To test APIs, people will use this Postman. 99% will use this Postman only to test APIs are working properly or not. Why? Here we don't have any front end right now, but I want to test my API is working properly or not. How we can able to test? For that, third party is providing one tool, which is nothing but Postman tool. By using this Postman tool, we can test our API is working properly or not. Right? So these are the things I am going to cover it here. Each and everything practically I am going to show it here. You guys will get complete knowledge on Django framework and Django REST framework. After completing this course, you guys can able to develop any web application your own. Any web application your own. By everything I am going to show in practical way only. Daily we are going to write the coding. Here we are doing the coding daily. Right? So if you guys are interested, please contact this number. This is WhatsApp number. Just you guys can ping to this number. Thank you guys.